She arrived with a red hoodie, a second-hand backpack, and a notebook she guarded like a secret. The hotel clerk barely looked up when she stepped to the counter. That wasn't unusual. People came and went here without names, without stories. The building had learned not to ask. She signed the register carefully, her handwriting small and deliberate. She smiled once, quickly, when the clerk slid the key across the counter. It was the kind of smile that said, "I'm trying to be brave." Outside, Los Angeles roared. Sirens, traffic, voices colliding into noise. But inside the Cecil Hotel, the air felt older. Heavy, as if the walls had absorbed decades of other people's loneliness and never quite let it go. She took the elevator up alone. That was the last ordinary moment anyone could later identify. Her parents noticed first. She had promised to call every day. Nothing long, just a check-in. She liked routines. They made the world feel manageable. So when the phone didn't ring that evening, her mother told herself the time difference had confused her. When it didn't ring the next day, she felt the beginning of fear, sharp and unwelcome. By the third day, fear had settled in like something permanent. The parents contacted the police in Canada, who contacted the police in Los Angeles, who contacted the hotel. The hotel searched its logs. Yes, the young woman was registered. Yes, she had been seen earlier in the week. No, she had not checked out. That was when the word missing entered the conversation. Detective Rafael Alvarez had been on the job for 22 years. He had learned to recognize the moment when a case stopped being routine and started being something else. A missing adult traveler could mean many things: voluntary disappearance, mental health crisis, simple miscommunication. But something about this one unsettled him. Maybe it was the hotel. Maybe it was the insistence in the parents' voices when he spoke to them on the phone. "This isn't like her," the mother said again and again. She would never just disappear. Alvarez had heard those words before. Sometimes they were wrong, sometimes they weren't. He partnered with Detective Marisol Chen, newer to homicide but sharp, methodical, unwilling to accept easy explanations. Their first stop was the Cecil itself. The Cecil Hotel did not resist the investigation. It didn't have to. It simply stood there, offering hallways and stairwells and rooms full of silence. Alvarez walked the corridors slowly. He always did. He liked to imagine the last ordinary footsteps a missing person took. He believed places remembered things, even if people didn't. They spoke to staff first. The front desk clerk remembered her vaguely, quiet, polite, asked about nearby bookstores. Another employee remembered seeing her in the lobby, sitting alone with her notebook open but not writing, as if listening to something only she could hear. "She wasn't causing trouble," the employee said. "If that's what you're asking." Chen noted that down. Not causing trouble didn't mean safe. In a building like this, trouble didn't always announce itself. Her room was shared, one of the cheaper arrangements. That complicated things. 2 roommates had complained about her behavior before she vanished. Not violent, not threatening, just unsettling. "She talked to herself sometimes," one said, uncomfortable. "She locked the door a lot. She moved our stuff." Chen watched their faces carefully. Fear, annoyance, guilt? Hard to tell. The hotel had moved her to a private room days before her disappearance. "Why?" Alvarez asked. "She asked," the manager said. "Said she needed space." That was another note added to the file. Change in routine. They searched the room thoroughly. Her backpack was gone. So was the red hoodie. The notebook remained, though, placed neatly on the desk, as if she intended to return. Alvarez hated abandoned personal items. They always felt like accusations. Search dogs were brought in. They followed her scent through the hallway, into the elevator, and toward a window that opened onto the fire escape. Then the trail dissolved. Outside, the city swallowed everything. The story didn't stay quiet for long. A young woman, alone, vanished from a downtown hotel with a dark reputation. Reporters smelled it instantly. By the end of the week, her photo was everywhere. Her soft smile, her eyes serious but kind. Chen watched the coverage with unease. Once the media gets involved, she said. People stopped being careful. Anonymous tips flooded in, sightings, theories, accusations. One caller insisted she'd been followed. Another claimed the hotel staff were hiding something. Someone else swore they'd seen her arguing with a man in the lobby. None of it lined up. Not yet. The video arrived without context. A hotel employee found it while reviewing security footage. It showed the young woman inside an elevator, moving strangely, stepping in and out, pressing multiple buttons, gesturing at empty. When her parents arrived in Los Angeles, the case grew heavier. They were polite, exhausted, desperate to believe the police could fix this. Chen walked them through the process carefully, what they knew, what they didn't. Her mother held the notebook when it was returned to her, fingers tracing the edges as if it might still be warm. "She writes when she's overwhelmed," she said softly. "It helps her think." Alvarez watched the father, who stood slightly apart, eyes fixed on nothing. He had seen that look before. It was the look of someone preparing for grief without admitting it. The dogs went back to work. This time they led upward. Stairwells, landings. Finally, the rooftop door. It was locked, but employees had access. The rooftop stretched wide and exposed, dotted with industrial equipment and water tanks. Chen stood still, listening to the wind. "This place," she said, "feels forgotten." They searched carefully, methodically. At first, they found nothing. The discovery was made not by detectives, but by maintenance. Guests had complained about water pressure, about the taste. A worker climbed to check the tanks. What he found ended the search and began something worse. Alvarez arrived minutes later. He did not look long. He didn't need to. Chen turned away, hands clenched, breathing measured. There would be reports, examinations, official words that tried to contain something that could not be contained. But the question everyone wanted answered immediately was the same. Public opinion shifted overnight. Now there was a body. Now there were theories, murder, cover-up, ritual, conspiracy. Chen read the comments and felt something close to rage. "They're turning her into entertainment," she said. Alvarez said nothing. He was staring at the tank, at the ladder, at the impossible logic of it all. The investigation deepened. Autopsy results, toxicology, structural analysis of the rooftop. No signs of physical harm inflicted by another person. No defensive wounds. No clear evidence of foul play. And yet, the questions remained. How did she access the roof? How did she reach the tank? Why were certain details unclear? Chen pushed back hard against premature conclusions. "Absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence," she argued. But the case was moving, whether she liked it or not. Alvarez hated this part too, not because it wasn't relevant, but because it was often used as a shortcut. "She had struggles," the medical examiner said carefully. "That doesn't mean her life was disposable." Chen nodded. They reconstructed her last days with empathy instead of judgment. Her routines, her writing, her search for meaning. She had not been reckless. She had been human. The official ruling came months later. Accidental death. The words felt thin, inadequate. Chen signed the paperwork with a heavy hand. Alvarez closed the file slowly, like something fragile. "This isn't justice," Chen said. "No," Alvarez agreed, "but it's the truth, as far as we can reach it." The hotel still stands, the elevator still runs, the internet still argues, but her parents returned home with a truth that didn't bring peace, only a quieter kind of sorrow. Sometimes, late at night, Alvarez still thought about the notebook left on the desk, about the girl who wanted to see the world, about how easily someone can disappear, and how loudly the world can misunderstand them afterward. Some mysteries don't end, they just stop being investigated.